Well, guys, tonight I am having dinner alone, and I decided, you know what? I am going to make something that I have a taste for. It's not often that I have that opportunity, so I decided to make the most of it. I poured myself a glass of wine, set up the table for one, made this delicious shrimp fried rice and salmon, and I will show you guys everything I did in a few moments. Stay tuned. So the first thing I did is I started with my rice. I have I'll say maybe about a dozen of some jumbo shrimp here, and I just seasoned them with a little bit of some Old Bay seasoning. I gave them a good toss, and then I got my wok heated to fry them up. Now, this wok does look a little bit beat up, guys, but I'm telling you, this bad boy still works just fine. $8 at Walmart. Best $8 I ever spent. All right, so once my wok was hot, I went in with some olive oil, and then I just went and fried my shrimp. Now, you don't want to cook the shrimp too long because for two things. We're going to cook them again later, and then we don't want them to be tough because if they're too tough, it's just going to take away from the delicacy of the shrimp. So I say maybe saute them maybe a minute or two, just a little, I guess just to their right, maybe opaque. And then once they're at the opaque stage, then you're going to pull them out and put them in a bowl. The funny thing about cooking a meal for myself, I remember when my ex-husband and I separated and I would cook dinner. It would just be me and the girls. They were really little at that time. I did not want to cook dinner for myself and the babies. I was just like, it's not going to be fun cooking if there's not a man in the house. I don't want to make a big meal and it's just me and little babies. But I have come a long way. Not only did I start cooking for me and my daughters, I will cook a big meal just for myself. All right, guys. So once the shrimp was done, I let the temperature get back a bit hot before I added my next ingredients, which were my minced garlic and some chopped onion. I let those cook down just maybe like 60 seconds or so. Next, I went with my rice. Now, you want to use day-old cold rice. Do not use fresh rice. It's going to be mushy. I cooked the rice earlier in the day. I prefer the day before, but I just decided last minute that I was going to have the shrimp fried rice. So I did make it and I put it in the freezer. That's the cheating. That's the way to cheat and do it, but it's best to do it the day before. But if it's an emergency and you just want it, cook it, let it cool down, put it in a Ziploc bag and let it, put it in the freezer. All right, so once I added my rice, I went in with some soy sauce, a pinch of sugar, and some black pepper. Now, you're going to definitely have to season to taste on this. I'm going to work on getting the exact measurements, but honestly, I'm just so used to just cooking by the way I feel and how things smell, and I'll have to try to figure it out, guys. Now, I also went in with some Chinese five spice. Now, do not use a lot of it because the flavor is very strong. When I say a dap, like how fast I said a dap, just a dap of that Chinese five spice. All right, and then I went in with a little bit more soy sauce because I like my rice dark. And then I basically just put my rice all around my wok so that all of the rice is getting fried. You want it to be dried out, so putting it up all around the wok helps all of the rice to get that steam and to keep it nice and hot and nice and dry. So once I let it sit there for a few minutes, I'm going to do it a couple of times throughout the process, but I did add some more soy sauce and I add a little bit of sesame oil as well as some oyster sauce. All of these things are going to help to build that flavor to get that good shrimp fried rice taste that you love. So continue, like I said, season to taste on this. And then once this add a decent color where the rice is starting to brown, I went ahead and I added some frozen peas and carrots. You can use the can if you must, but the color is not going to be so bright. All right, so once I added that, I went in and I continued to press it up against the sides to let it cook down. Now, earlier in, you did see me put some white onion, but I'm going to go in with some green onion a little bit later. I just want to mention in case you see me adding onions again later, like, why did you put more onions? I just personally love the way that it tastes. So it's up to you, and it's completely optional. All right, so I continue to, fry my rice to try to get the color that I was looking for. Make sure the rice was nice and dry. Like I said, make sure you guys are seasoning to taste. And then once my rice was just about done, I went and I created a little area to cook my egg. I use about 3 scrambled eggs. Now, this is a lot of rice. I know you're thinking like, what the heck? If it's just you, why do you need so much rice? Because I have a feeling that somebody is going to want some later when they found out that I made it. So I made sure to make some extra rice. Now, my husband does not eat salmon, so I wasn't worried about him thinking about he missed out on any salmon. So that was not a big deal. But yeah, so I went ahead and I scrambled those eggs in the middle. You can scramble your eggs first, but I just figured I'd just make a little well and cook them in with the rice. And you're going to do this at the end. So when you're about 95% done, just go ahead and put your egg in there because you don't want those to overcook either. And then those are those green onions. Some people call them scallion, and I call them green onions. And then I added my shrimp. Look you see how quick this rice came together, guys. I think it maybe took 15 or 20 minutes at the most. I did go back in with a little bit more oyster sauce. Like I said, continue to taste this as you go. And I did also add a little bit more of that Chinese 5 spice. I'm going to say a 1/4 teaspoon max. And you see how much rice I have. That Chinese 5 spice will take over the dish if you let it. All right. So I caught myself trying to use some skills with the little wok. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, but you know what? You never know unless you try. So once I came to my senses, I just went ahead and just use the spoon the regular way. And so I did also want to amp up the garlic taste. I felt like it wasn't as strong. I should have added maybe like another clove or 2 of garlic. I didn't, so I just added some garlic powder. And then what you'll see me adding there is something called Maggie seasoning. It is just like a browning sauce to it. It doesn't really add much flavor, but it does help with the browning. But there is my rice topped with my green onions. Tell me that does not look good. Tell me that doesn't look good, guys. Oh my gosh, so good. And I love a jumbo shrimp. Some people like the small shrimp, but I like my shrimp big. All right, so let's move on to the salmon. Again, very simple seasonings with this, and this is a super easy salmon recipe. So I just seasoned both sides with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some paprika. I have my skillet nice and hot. I added some olive oil. I think I had a little bit of onions on my hands from something. I don't know what that is I got in the pan, but never mind that. So once my pan was hot, I got my oil in, and then I cooked my salmon. Now, I did cook it on high because I want my salmon to brown, but I do not want to overcook it because I do not want my salmon to be dry. And then I added this raw honey. Did you see that honeycomb? I think I just bought this honey just because it had the honeycomb in there. It was a little bit pricey, but it is raw honey. So I want to make a sauce with this. So I just dropped enough honey to coat the bottom of the skillet. And then I went in with some teriyaki sauce. If you know how to make teriyaki sauce from scratch, hey, you're doing big things. But for me, I'm going to buy mine at the store in the bottle. And then I add a little bit of crushed red pepper because I wanted it to be spicy. All right, so once I went in with some additional soy sauce, I just went and I basted my salmon just to get the flavors throughout. Like I said, this is a very quick dish that's going to come together. Once everything was nice and coated, I went in with the juice of half a lemon. Let that simmer down a bit, added a few slices. I say maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then it was time to plate. So what I do to get the nice little mold with the rice, I just use my measuring cup. You don't have to buy anything fancy. And yes, I was definitely going to plate it nicely for myself. Yeah, it doesn't have to be boring just because it's yourself. You can treat yourself like you're at the restaurant, make it nice and pretty. But there is my, I guess you could call it a spicy teriyaki salmon, and my shrimp fried rice. Definitely was delicious and fulfilling, and I enjoyed my night to myself. I appreciate you guys for watching. Until next time.